Hey, storytelling run. This is gonna be an odd video, but let's do it. Okay, so for four little RPG, I have a dice mechanic that's I'm kind of pondering if it's a little difficult. Because let's just say Dungeons and Dragons and Shadow Dark and all these other sort of indie RPGs, they kind of come up with a D20 roll and then a +1, +2, +3, sort of that sort of thing. Like you advance with +1s and +2s, and so it's very simple and easy. The problem with that sort of system is that you get powerful pretty quickly, and then and especially if you get like a +1 sword, a +2 sword, like I tend to like to give. I'm very giving as a GM. I like to give magic items or things out so that they're always like improving pretty quickly and they go up levels pretty quickly. So it tends to be that the characters become heroes pretty quickly. And so my solution was, and along with other things, was you have a D20 system, because I love the D20. Nat 20, that's always great. The Nat 1 is always funny. But then when you go up instead of getting a +1, +2, you get to add another die. And that upgrades, as you can see here, D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. And that way, when you roll, you will have a range of 1 to 4 or 1 to 8 or 1 to 12. And it kind of muddles it so that you're not always getting a constant number every time. Now, you do have a trait bonus, which is a +1 to +4. I mean, it could be a -1 or -2 or 0. So there's that, but I keep that within that range of, -2 to 4. So the rest of it is going to be a die rank. And I like it because it sort of creates a bell curve, of successes, right? And that moves up as you get more and more die ranks in whatever that skill is or thing that you're trying to, your main focus of your character. And then you'll have a bunch of other skills that will have, the less die ranks. It's kind of, and the die rank thing is a little tricky to grasp, especially I think for people that are not hardcore RPGers, because that's kind of actually who I'm trying to appeal to. But so that's a trick or a conundrum I'm in, and I'm going to be talking to my players about it as well. I really want to keep this because I love it. I as a 45-year veteran GM or whatever, I get it. I love it. I love the way this works. But I think it's hard to grasp for new players and new GMs, and that's a hurdle I'm dealing with right now. I just love that you're able to add all these die ranks of things in. Like you're able to play around with them as a GM, whether it's better items, better skills, better situation factors. They all combine, and you're creating a bell curve of potential successes. When you first start, you're at the bell curve down here by 0 to 5 successes per game or whatever. And then as you get better and better, you get higher and higher on that bell curve. But you still can have a chance of failure, which is a great real life, type of thing. When I do medieval armored combat, I'm generally better, but I get plenty of failures, and my successes get better and cooler. But again, the bell curve is sort of moving along. I think now that I'm getting older, the bell curve is moving back, and I'm not as focused on it anymore. I want to, but again, you're never just always a superhero. You don't come, by 7th, 8th level, you don't become this superhero. And I like, the reason I like this too is because you can keep that character for a lot longer. And we're Christians. We believe in life. We believe in the joy and of life, continuing life, even with these characters. And what I'm noticing, and I'm watching like some other RPGs like Shadow Dark commentary, they do this thing called the Gauntlet. And I know Dungeon Crawl Classics did it too, where you had a bunch of 0 level characters and you run through a gauntlet and they all die until you get one. And I'm like, that is so Gladiator. That is so like Pagan, that type of gameplay where you just want to see a bunch of characters die, to run through a gauntlet. And they're all like having a great time, and how each 0 level dies. Now I want to go over this, and this is like really hitting hard for me because I just watched Pompeii. So let me switch over to this. Let me go to the Pompeii one first. So this is a scene in the Pompeii where they have the gladiator scene or whatever. And, these guys are like, and you will die. And, they're doing this whole thing, this pageant. I think the great scenes here. of this. This is the whole gladiator thing, and obviously the main hero is a gladiator, and he's suffering and a slave, and he's got to fight and kill, and this is for the entertainment of the pagans, and this is the norm. This is the default. There was these arenas everywhere across the land before Christianity came in and kicked their butts. The gladiators was everywhere. Imagine gladiators. It's a whole thing with the gauntlet. You're killing people for the entertainment of pagans. And think of today. What are the goriest films? Are they made by Christians? Well, I'm talking gory for gory's sake. It's sadistic, horrific films where you just show blood, killing and murders and killing sprees and all that. Who makes those films? Do Christians make those films? No, it's the secular world, that the pagan world that makes those movies. I mean, personally, I kind of like a lot of them. So, but I'm just saying, we are being addicted to that. We're being pushed to that kind of entertainment in the movies. And back then, they did it for real. And you know what? I don't think if we continue down the path we're at with this pagan culture, where the witches and the paganism and all of this sort of playing games where we just let the kids play characters where they all die and it's hilarious. I think we're going right back to this. I'm trying to warn you all that I think the church is in retreat. The culture of the church is in retreat, and the evangelism is in retreat, and hopefully there's a revival. I have no part in that, but I'm trying to do evangelism in the sense of in the RPG culture, planning churches, and I'm trying to get you all to realize the importance of it, because we're going to start returning to this, and like for real, because we're teaching everyone. All of our mindset now is all about vengeance and violence. And look, I am not shy from doing violent stuff in games, as long as there's a goal that is for real, that is church based. And the violent part of it is form of entertainment and silly, but the goal there is not to kill these people, not to murder hobo, or not to have it as being the main part of the story. The goal is to stop evil, stop the horrific stuff, and sometimes the only way you can do that is to violently stop them. But I have a game mechanic called denouement, where you're trying to get them to surrender as you're beating them down, because they're just so evil themselves, and you're trying to discern that. So I have a game mechanic in the game that actually makes you not want to kill people. It makes you want to get them to try to surrender. Just stop what you're doing. I'm going to stop you if you don't stop what you're doing, and then hear me out now that you're on your knee, bleeding and in pain. But I want to go over this. This story is, it's so oppressive. I mean, it's so full of like cheating, and here's the two main characters. Of course, I don't necessarily want to ruin it for you, but it's a gladiator thing. They're gonna, but here they are just killing. Oh, it keeps going to black. Killing in the arena, and these are all like other gladiator slaves, and it's just all about killing and being oppressed by the Roman leaders and being slaves. Oh, here they are in a party where they have to stand there, and the women paid to get them to have sex with them. And I watched the whole Spartacus series. Right? It's funny. I watched the Spartacus TV show. I should have brought that on here, and that was so violent and sexual, and I was actually becoming a Christian at that point. But I loved watching it because this is paganism. This is paganism. And actually back then I was so like, man, the church ended this. This was the norm. These guys were slaves at a party for the rich, and they, his master there, or this keeper who he himself was a slave, was beating them with the whip. And I'm just trying to get a point across to you guys that this is the norm. We keep thinking, there's the elite people, and she falls in love with the slave guy. But they were just killing, and it didn't matter. This is the Roman this is paganism, dude. I can't. What am I? I'm trying to get across the point here. Now, this show here on Max was a great depiction of Rome, and I really enjoyed the show. But it was sexual, violent, and the slaves in it were treated like, hello, here's how slaves are treated, and the slaves were the norm. And this is paganism. This is I'm going to get to the witch trials right here. Okay, so in this book I'm reading, I'm about third way through it. I need to get back to reading. I've been doing a lot of work and then just tired at night and watching shows and stuff. But Dominion is this book I'm reading. I'm about a third way, but it is mind-bogglingly, just blew my mind. And what an idiot. I need to read more. Yeah, I know I'm an idiot. Tom Holland is an atheist, and I even watched interviews with him. He actually was interviewed by a Christian. The Christian said, "So why don't you believe in Christian faith or whatever?" And he's like, "Well, I grew up with believing in dinosaurs. And I really loved dinosaurs as a kid, and I just couldn't go for the Christian thing because it, anyway." But he admits here Christians saved the world. He admits it. I mean, and he is, by the way, an author of the Rubicon and Pax Rome. So he knows all of the pagan horrific stuff. And as he was studying, he says in the book here, I'm paraphrasing, I'm just trying to remember. As he says, though, as he's reading it and studying it, he realizes, wait a minute, the change comes during the Christian times. And the life that he lives right now, his study of Roman times and pagan times, the default was brutal torture, pagan stuff. And he describes in here some of the torture methods that the pagans used, which is freaking horrific. And the whole medieval torture thing, by the way, I have another video on this, but the whole medieval torture thing is totally blown out because of 19th and 20th century people, rewriting the history of the witch trials and the tortures. One, to criticize the church, and then two, for entertainment purposes. And that's what we think is history. The medieval torture stuff is blown out. Like all those devices they show now in those torture museums, those were all made in the 19th century and 20th century. There's no record of that kind of crap. The whole vagina devices and all this crap that was the Iron Maiden and all this stuff. That's there are descriptions of using pain in some of the old witch trial things, but they're very careful. They're very documented. They're very specific to the whatever they're doing, and they're not meant to be permanently harmful to the individual. And what's interesting is they would torture them, mildly, but documented. But they wouldn't torture them on their belief. They would try to get facts out of them that they could verify concerning acts, that they did, to then verify. The Inquisition recorded that kind of stuff. Anyway, but this is amazing. This is something that we're not being told. We're being whitewashed. The paganism today is huge. It is lying about this. What am I got here? I got this. Okay, I'm watching this video. She's a they them. She's obviously not a plural, and she's obviously a woman, but she, they them. But she's bringing up sort of how the witch hunts are overblown. I don't want to go this way. A Gladiator 2. I haven't seen it yet, but obviously it's going to show the same pagan killing stuff. That I'm trying to get across is we are so used to this form of entertainment. This is the kind of entertainment we're used to, and it's and now all our role-playing games are the same way, doing the gauntlet, killing, getting treasure, pretending you're a hero. And I'm like, I don't want to, to me, I find that just boring now. I'm just, as a Christian, I find that incredibly boring, and it's just for fun. Well, killing gladiators is just for fun. It's just for fun. Gladiators just for fun. Murdering and killing people and having it be a form of entertainment. It's just entertainment. What's the problem? That's sort of like, that's the way I look at it now. I'm not, again, I'm not 100% against all these role-playing games, but I'm just like, it's just, I don't have an interest anymore in those. I just, as a Christian, I want a role-playing game. I absolutely want a role-playing game, but a role-playing game that is about evangelism, it's about church planning, it's about church history, it's about building up this spiritual joy and entertainment via entertainment. I want to go show you guys. So what we have now going on because of the elections, and this is on Not the Bee. Liberal women are talking about making poison great again, and the videos are all over TikTok. So they're talking about this aqua tofana, which is a poison, and that this woman made in Rome, 16th century, 1600s, 17th century, to kill husbands or ex-husbands, or to make a husband an ex-husband. And they're showing like these women all talking about this on TikTok and stuff. Oh, and then they're doing poison rings where they can open up the ring and blow a poison on you. So they want to, they're promoting this now as a form of retribution against conservatives and I guess MAGA men who voted for Trump, poison the food, poison the drink. When you go to a bar, they're going to look for, I guess, white fraternity boys and look to poison you. I don't know, but it's just talk on TikTok or something, right? That's all it is, innocent talk. But here they are promoting it now, and obviously there's some Twitters here that got deleted or whatever, and they're trying to like, hey, maybe you should look into these people. So this is just an enjoyable thing for them. Here she is. Don't talk to me. I'm gonna aqua tofana you. They're just promoting it, and so I looked up tofana. Everything she does here is just what a witch does. So you're all like the criticism of the witch trials, and I'm like bringing back the witch trials. I'm just like we need the witch trials back, but they're talking about this woman and literally like what she does and all this is poisonous. I mean, they killed people. I mean, so many men. Maybe women got in their way, but here. So I follow, which is neat. I followed the links here. The angel makers of Nagrayev would kill anyone. The women would just start poisoning and killing their husbands, then maybe their old elders, or whoever got in their way. Midwives allegedly asked the poisoners, why put up with them? So you just go poison and kill them. And it was hard to tell why they died. Maybe they died of a heart attack or whatever. And then here's another one. This woman was poisoning, sorcery, fortune telling. She may have killed up to 2,500 people. Might have been murdered because of her poisons. That's literally a third of the entire witch trial executions. So one woman, one witch, may have killed up to 2,500 people because of her poisons. And the whole witch trials was about 8 to 10,000 over 300 years. Maybe. And they were all done through trials, documented trials. This witch, though, probably killed 2,500 within the few 10, 20 years that she did this and got away with it. Or I don't know, she I think she eventually got caught. Fortune telling, a witch. This is what witches do. They poison and kill. Abortion provider. So she killed babies for profit as a midwife. Wealthy members of the aristocracy. She had a network of abortion providers. So it was a business for her. She claimed that fetuses who had been aborted late in the pregnancy were burned in a furnace in her garden house. Professional sorcery. So this is paganism. This is witches, and we're all like, now they're just. Oh, here's another one here. Sorry, let me go ahead and do another one here. She poisoned a bunch of people. I just followed the links from the Tofana one. Here, oh man, I mean, these are just interesting stories, and yet we're not going to have this right in media. We're going to have how the witch trials were, the Salem witch trials, and the witch trials, and the Christians in the church were horrible. But nothing about the witches and what they did. They actually did. I mean, like I said, I found one woman who killed almost a third of what the witch trials probably Inquisition trial. And remember, the vast majority of witches were actually freed, let go. They weren't even executed because there was like hundreds of thousands of trials. So the vast majority weren't even executed. They didn't even talk about that. I mean, why don't they talk about when some of the women that got interviewed, they repented, or they found to be innocent, or found to be falsely accused? That was the vast majority of these witch trials, but they don't want to talk about that. They just want to talk about how millions of women were killed, which never happened, and then they want to give you abortions and poison and sorcery and today, and that's what we see today, right? We see them promoting murder, poisoning, and their abortions, and the poison rings. They got their poison rings here. Your body, my choice. See, that's what they really want. Your body, my choice to kill. That's what they're promoting here. And I mean, I'm assuming based on just looking at this. So this is the culture that we're living in. We're living in a pagan culture, and I'm trying to just, my personal little thing here, my little game here is to try to create a role-playing game that is not of that. It is not of that. I don't want you to run a gauntlet with a bunch of people, a bunch of characters who all die, and you have fun laughing at that. I don't want that kind of game. I want to, we do have silly violence and people dying and stuff in my games. We do. But the goal is life. The goal is a spiritual transformation of the villains and of the villagers and of the people that you encounter, to make a better life for everyone in this, in the story. That is the goal. The goal is not to go wanton killing or be killed, or that is the focal point of the entertainment. So for the Lord RPG, that's what I'm doing. Again, I know I'm looking at the game mechanics. It is a little harder to grasp, but the goal is to have characters that last for a long time, and that they themselves don't become superheroes by 5th or 7th level, and then you got to just create a bunch of demons for them to fight or whatever. The goal is to have a long sort of humble character that continually grows in the faith and in their skills, using the die rank mechanics that I have in there. But I'll see if that's a good thing or bad thing. Playability, I'm still working on that, but I enjoy it thoroughly myself. But again, I'm doing this for so long, I can just play it. But I got to figure out a way to starter kit type of thing, for sure. And I have not done that yet, and it's on my mind. So anyway, that's what's going on today. I'm just trying to call out in the wild to let you all know why that we all are addicted to that sort of violent vengeance type of entertainment, and we need to change that to an evangelist church planning form of entertainment. Where we're trying to stop the villains, but also forgive them and build them up to become good. Anyway, so in the game of life, roll holy dice.